Welcome to LSC. It's Sports Time. I'm your host, Bob Hintz. Today I have with me Chuck Moore, former basketball player, assistant coach at Kecoughtan High School, and is now starting a program up to Richard Bland College, and we'll talk about that a little later. But you grew up in Willow Oaks.
Yes, sir.
And in Hampton, played all the sports and everything. But talk a little bit about the people that you grew up around.
Well, it all started in the neighborhood, of course. I mean, that's where you learn how to play a lot of the games that you do, whether it's street football, tackle football, wiffle ball. You know, we had the Brown brothers with Milan, Marseille, and Morocco. You know, they lived across the street, and obviously collegiate athletes. And around the corner was Brian Whitley, who also was a big track star. I think he went to Pittsburgh. We had the Vernil brothers that all played football. I mean, even my best friend John Derby, he was an elite swimmer. So, I mean, our neighborhood was really what was the basis.
And versatile.
Yes.
I mean, not everybody just played the same thing.
Right.
That's unusual.
Yeah, we played every sport you can imagine. We even went as far as playing street hockey. That was
Did you make up your own sports sometimes?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes
own
we
rules
did.
anyway.
Own rules, yeah. Well, we learned how to solve a lot of problems that way.
Yeah, well, that's good. Well, you played basketball, soccer, and baseball. Talk a little bit about what you played there, what your position was, and that sort of thing.
Well, we played it all. Baseball was kind of the last sport behind everything. Basketball, soccer was the first one I started within Phillips.
Now, what did you position?
I love to play forward. I like scoring. I like controlling the ball. So forward was a big thing. I obviously played some midfield, even going all the way into high school. But then kind of going over to basketball, running the point, playing off guard.
Playing basketball, did you play against the Brown brothers?
No, in the neighborhood. Actually, going up, they played in a couple other leagues. I think they played with Aberdeen. I played in Phillips, and John Green was one of my first basketball coaches.
Okay.
Going to being the baseball coach at Kecoughtan. So, no, we didn't really play against each other, strange enough.
But you grew up in the same neighborhood?
Same neighborhood.
Okay. Talk a little bit about your baseball. Because John Green, baseball.
Never played for him baseball. Just played kind of when I was not playing the other two sports. Because obviously baseball kind of overlapped soccer season, so you had to play it during the summer.
Right.
And that was kind of the last sport I'd ever play just because I wanted to play the other two.
Right. Where did you go to middle school? Was it junior high school back then? Or?
It was Eaton Middle. I think it's still called middle school.
Okay,
so I went to Eaton all 6th, 7th, and 8th grade years. We had a team 2 of those 3 years. The first year I was there, 6th grade, they were redoing the floor. So couldn't play, still had to play with Phillips with that.
Right,
but we ended up having a team my 7th and 8th grade year.
Okay, now your 8th grade year, you went up to Kecoughtan, played JV, what was it, soccer?
Soccer there. My 8th grade year, I went to play soccer.
Right.
6th and 7th were basketball. Played for Stan Sexton and Mr. Sexton and Arnold Baker when I was in the middle school. But 8th grade year, I decided to go out for the JV team at Kecoughtan.
See, a lot of people don't understand that the coaches, even though when they get to high school, they, maybe just a football coach or just basketball, they've coached other things.
Oh, yeah.
Walter Breyer over at Hampton was a JV football coach.
Was he? Didn't know that.
So, when you said Stan Sexton, I'm thinking, Stan in basketball, but his dad was a coach. He was his assistant, and of course Arnie Baker. He comes from a background of basketball. As a 9th grade varsity for baseball?
Soccer.
Soccer.
My freshman year, I went out for the varsity soccer team, was able to make it, played for Alan Lindsay that freshman year.
Okay. Now, Alan played for Kecoughtan, didn't he?
Yes, his dad was one of the first soccer coaches.
Right.
So then Alan took over, I guess, many years after that. And we went on a, I think, 12-year district run.
Right. Well, Kecoughtan was noted for soccer.
Yes.
I mean, on this side of the water, if you could get by Kecoughtan, you had a great year.
Yeah, I believe we won it 12 years in a row. Yeah. Now, when we went across the bridge, that made things a lot tougher
and
for
I
us.
talked to some people. They said that the feeder program was just much better over there on the south side.
Yeah, they did.
So
on the grassroots.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't understand. If you don't have a good feeders program, then you are teaching guys and gals skills that they should have already known.
Right.
So, and then 9th grade, played JV basketball for a good friend of mine.
Yeah. Coach Hall, yep, he's still around. So it's nice seeing him still on the bench.
Yeah. And do you remember who you played with on that JV team?
I remember Brett Harper. He definitely was one of the guys. He definitely stood out. We played a lot that year. And that team was kind of a little mixed up. Chris Taylor ended up kind of playing. A lot of those guys didn't continue. It was kind of strange. Lee Lewis was one of the other guys who had actually ended up passing away in the line of duty. He was a soldier. So we actually, then a lot of those guys moved on. But Chris Taylor was one of the big ones, and Brett Harper, too, that kind of carried on with me.
And then you went to varsity as 10 through 12.
Yes.
You got to play for a real good friend of mine, passed away.
Yes.
Revis Conrad. Talk a little bit about your 3 years with Revis.
That was a great 3 years because my sophomore year was one of our best years probably, besides a few years later than that. But where we went to state tournament, I was with Faisal Abraham, Tony Jordan, Morocco. We had a great team. I mean, I backed up Tony, so it was a great experience. Playing day in and day out. That made me better, just playing against him. And so, but Coach Conrad was definitely intense. I mean, he taught us, a lot about just how to play hard and how to overcome a lot of things that we didn't have just by playing with intensity. Okay.
Had to be 3 great years for you playing. Did you still play soccer? Or
still play soccer. It was hard. It was a hard balance, going because there's a lot of stuff you got to do off season wise. But yeah, I mean, my junior year we struggled a little bit more. Didn't quite have the talent from before, and Morocco actually decided not to play basketball, so that hurt us too.
Yeah, right. We could have definitely used him. He was getting ready to go down to NC State.
Yeah, he was definitely focused on that. So, but we battled. I mean, we ended well above 500, middle of the pack. In the Peninsula District. How tough that is. You got to be talented.
Oh, you do that.
And then senior year, we ended up coming back. Marseille and Brett and Nacilio and Jermaine McLease, and I mean, we were still. So my senior year, we ended up coming back real strong.
Right.
And having a playoff with Ferguson.
Did you still play? Were you point guard then?
Kind of mixed it up with Marseille and going to the wing. So more or less, I really was on the wing shooting, and Marseille was running the point a lot. So we kind of mixed it back and forth.
You graduated your first year. You went down to East Carolina, my alma mater. The shirt goes with my alma mater.
There you go.
To talk a little bit about that experience, because now you're going away from home. You don't have the support that you have with your parents and everything, and you get done with the football or basketball or whatever, you can go home.
Yeah, it was definitely different. First year without sports too, because I was supposed to go to Mary Washington, play ball, but didn't get it as a student. So it's first year not being around that. So I decided to come on back and finish up at Christopher Newport and get back into coaching.
Right, and while you was at Christopher Newport, that's when you went over to Kickingham as an assistant coach over there. It was just you and Richard Hall and Revis.
Coach Conrad, yep. When I saw Coach Conrad, when I came back, he immediately asked me if I wanted to come back and play or coach with him and help him. I did. So that kind of got me back into the coaching ranks and kind of made me realize I still needed to be in the game.
So did you have any idea while you were at Christopher Newport that you might gravitate towards coaching, or what led you to that?
I just wanted to stay in the game. And then the next year, Hampton Roads Academy hired me as their JV coach. And just kind of kept me in there. And I really wanted to stay in the game. Athletics was my whole entire life. And I mean, that's what the basis of most of my friendships are right now, are my old teammates.
Well, you develop those. And that's what I try to tell people is these kids that are playing high school ball now, they're developing relationships they'll have forever.
Yes.
I mean, when you play with a person day in, day out for 2 or 3 years, you don't lose that
when you
camaraderie.
go through the battles that we go through down here, and some of the games in the Peninsula District, definitely you get tight from that.
So you graduated, got your degree in financial management?
Yes, I have undergrad in financial management and a master's in sports administration.
Went to work with Legg Mason. And how did sports help you? I mean,
as
far as your time management?
Well, it helps you balance, and it also helps you with relationships and dealing with different type of personalities, and also negotiations and emotions, and trying to have to figure things out on your own. So definitely applied, especially that field, because it's the stock field and the market is definitely volatile.
Right. Now, you've seen a lot of changes. You went through the Kickingham program. Now you're looking at it a different way.
Yes.
Because you're looking at it from a coach's standpoint at the college level, the next level. How do you look at the program that's over there with Ivan Thomas now? How do you look at that? And what do you see? Any differences or just?
I see a lot of differences just from the way the game was played, obviously 15, almost 20 years ago now. I mean, it's definitely played a little differently, but he's teaching them a lot of great things right now. That's why there's numerous players that I'm recruiting and they're learning certain aspects of the game that they need to know, because a lot of times they don't have that coming into college. They may have skills, but they don't have a knowledge of the game. So he's definitely teaching them a lot of aspects.
So he's teaching them not just how to play, but the game itself.
Yes.
And you'll find your better ball players like Ronald Curry and an Allen Iverson. They know what's going on and what's going to happen on the floor sometimes before it happens, but they can see the flow.
Yes.
And that's always a good thing. You worked for a cell phone company for a little while too. Got out of coaching
Yeah, left Leg Mason.
Withdrawal?
Yeah, I did. I owned a few businesses, and right near the end of that is when I had an opportunity to join a private school, Amelia Academy, and that kind of got me back into the mix. And that's when I really realized that, I was making great money owning my own company, but I really wanted to be in the game. You
got to go where your heart is.
Yes.
And I don't care what kind of money, if you're not happy with what you're doing, it's no good. No. And if you got that passion to be in the game and to coach, that's good. Amelia Academy, where's that, up by Richmond?
Yeah, it's southwest side of Richmond. It's a small private school, and it's pre-K through 12. Had some great ball players, play for me coming through there. That some went on bigger levels. Will Famini played at Arizona State and VCU. Jesus Urbina went on to play at George Mason. Had Maka Garba, who's at University of Rio Grande. So we've had some great players come through there.
Right. Now this is private school. I'm assuming it's pretty small.
Small, definitely small. There was less than 200 students.
Okay, and you just strictly basketball? What else? Anything else?
Actually, I coached soccer. I helped out with softball. When you're the AD and coach in a small school, you got to kind of do whatever you need to do to make
fill the holes.
Fill the holes sometimes. It was a great 6 years spending there.
And then at Patrick Henry in Martinsville, you went there and started their program.
Yeah, they took me. They made an offer once I left Amelia to start their junior college program up. It had been a club team, just a local community college, and they were starting all their athletics. They wanted to go to a national intercollegiate level. Okay. So they hired me, moved out there, and spent a couple of years.
Tell me what happened the first year.
First year was strong because basis of trying to get a program, getting kids from all over, recruiting them. They competed in the Virginia Community College system, and we were able to finish that and win the state championship.
Win the state championship. First year.
First year. It was nice.
Nice to finish number one. The only problem is that's hard to repeat.
It is. It's very hard. And it was our last year competing in the VCCS, so it's a good way to go out.
Right.
And it's number one.
But the next year, you take them, you're in a different conference?
We're in the Region 10, which is our conference, which is all the Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, two-year junior colleges.
And you get all the way to 11th, ranked 11th in the nation?
Yeah, we got up to 11th in the nation. We went 16-0 in the conference, so we won the regular season championship. Unfortunately, got upset in the tournament, so we didn't get a national berth. But it was a great year.
It was a good year for you. You were Coach of the Year.
Yes, I was. Yeah, I was blessed. But you got to have great players. I had probably 6 or 7 players go on to the next level, get full scholarships. Okay. Which is where
So what you were doing there is trying to get these kids to the next level.
Yes.
And this is a junior college system, and I know that when I had Tika White, he went out to Hutchinson Junior College out in Kansas, and there was a great coffee. Kansas, there's a lot of good junior colleges out there for football and basketball. Yes. Is that what you were trying to do when you started their program?
Yes, exact same. Just go to the national level, get the kids in that have, for a variety of reasons, they come to me. But the biggest thing is to go on to a 4-year school to try to get that 4-year scholarship.
Right. What did you have a model? How did you say, okay, they offered you this and said, okay, we're going to start your program and what?
Well, there's some bigger programs around the nation that you kind of look at. I kind of mirror after almost. You got to run it like a Division I program. Right. The only difference is you only have them for 2 years. So if you run that structure and you create that discipline, they will be ready to move on to the bigger and better schools.
Right. Well, then you went. We talked about networking. We haven't talked about, but networking is really important in your line of work because the relationships you develop with coaches you coach with and coaches they know, that helps you get to the next level.
Yes. Yep.
Talk a little bit about what you do as far as networking, because you do a lot of networking now.
Got to.
Down here looking.
Got to have help from the high school coaches, definitely. But I'd moved back to Richmond because my son was still in Richmond, so I moved back to be with him. And And I was just out to dinner one night and I ran into an old coach, Josh Merkel,
right,
who was at the time had just got hired at Randolph-Macon. But I knew him from years before when he had recruited Will Famini when he was at West Virginia as a grad assistant. So we just ran into each other at dinner and talked, and he said, "You're out of the game." I said, "I'm out, I'm looking." So he put me in touch with the head coach, Nathan Davis, and that's all she wrote. Spent 2 years later, 2 years with them.
Wow. So, you know, and that's important, this networking. It's just unbelievable. We're going to kind of wrap this up, but I want you to explain, because you were starting the program from scratch at Richard Bland. Now, is this going to be a junior college? Explain to me what's happening.
Yeah. We are a 2-year junior college. We're an extension of William & Mary.
Okay.
And we are different than any other of community colleges in the state of Virginia. All the other schools are true community colleges.
Right.
We are a true junior
You're
college.
Not a community
We're
college.
not a community college.
Okay.
We're a 2-year extension of William & Mary. We have on-campus housing, medical, we have cafeterias, we have all the stuff that when you talk about the schools in Hutchinson
right.
and schools in Florida, we have all of those capabilities. And Dr. Saito, which is the president, she hired me as athletic director to start all of our intercollegiate athletics.
So here you coming in as athletic director, but that's not all you're going to do. You're also going to be the head basketball coach.
Yes, next season, yes.
Okay, but you're starting more programs. So
yes.
did you have to go out and find the coaches? How did that work?
I had to do it all. Basically, the president said, "Here's a blank canvas. You create it all. You create the budget. You tell me what sports you want to go with, and go from there." So it's going to be next year. We're going to have 8, maybe even 9 teams. We're going to go with men's soccer, softball, men's and women's cross country, men's and women's track and field, cheerleading. Of course, men's basketball is there, and there is talks of men's and women's wrestling. Also.
Men's and women's wrestling.
Yes, you'll be surprised how many women are out there actually wrestling.
Wow.
There are. It's shocking. There's a demand for it.
I know. So when you're down here and you're going to these basketball tournaments, you're looking at it from a different eye than everybody
yes.
else. I mean, you're enjoying the game, but you're recruiting.
I'm recruiting heavily right now. I've been on the road every single night for the past 3 weeks. Because I'm a one-man show right now. I haven't hired my full staff. They're in the process right now. But,
okay.
Yes.
So are you going to hire somebody to assist you?
3 more. I have
3 more.
I'm going to have 3 assistant coaches.
Very good. So you have anybody in mind? Have you already hired?
I have 1 opening right now.
Okay.
Is what I'm looking. So the other 2 have to be finalized. Can't really talk about it yet because they're in other positions. So.
Okay. Well, no, I don't want you to mention them. I just wanted to make sure. You know, I didn't know how you got about to that. Now, can you talk about the kids that you're trying to recruit, or
we're not allowed to talk about any of the players that we are recruiting. But I did get my first verbal commitment, which
Fantastic.
I'm allowed. It's
somebody from this area.
Actually, Frank Barksdale from Petersburg High School.
Fantastic.
Yes, he's a local kid up there, so he made a verbal commitment. They're not allowed to sign their letter of intent till April, so since he made a verbal, I'm allowed to speak about it. But
okay.
So because junior college rules are a little bit different than NCAA's,
and that's
they're slightly
a lot of people
different.
don't understand, but the rules now are so much more restrictive
yes.
than they were 10 years ago or even 5 years ago.
Yeah. For the NCAA, it's way more restricted. We don't have near the restrictions. Obviously, we can't pay the kids. We can't do all those type of activities.
Right.
But to be able to talk to them and talk about them, it's a little bit more flexible. But
what do you offer a kid? Okay, you got a kid that says verbally, "I'm going to come." Scholarship, help him get grants, Pell Grants. How do you do? What do you do?
We have full financial aid packages that from Pell Grants to loans. Because we are competing at the Division II level, the junior college right now, we're not able to offer room and board.
Right.
But there are scholarship opportunities available for tuition books based on a lot of different criteria that we have. But we do have capabilities. So
when you get a verbal commitment, you get a kid that's going to come to you, doesn't stop there. You're still trying to make sure that he can financially come to this school.
Oh yeah, a lot of that we figure out beforehand, before they commit. We figure out what can go. It's not like some Division I schools where they know they have a certain amount of scholarships and they hand them, they make the offers. So, but it's very similar. So that's why right now we got to field a team of 15 next year. So 1 down, 14 to go.
Well, listen, I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for tuning in to LSC and Sports Time. I want to thank my special guest, Chuck Moore. I'm your host, Bob Hintz. Until next time.